first. Let's go to Will Hutton, columnist for The Observer, also was the paper's editor for a period of time not that long ago, and joins me now. Good to have you on, Mr. Hutton. Do you agree that the BBC failed with that Panorama documentary? Good morning.
Good morning. Yes. I mean, there's no question that the edit was, I think, beyond really error of judgment. It was very bad, and there should have been a more immediate apology, and there should have been a more immediate apology. It was.
And so, as Trump asked, that apology should be forthcoming now? Yes.
And, I think Samir Shah is likely to build on what he's already told the Culture and Media Committee at the Houses of Commons. But, I mean, the bigger question is, was it such an egregious error that it was worth 2 resignations? And that's, the proportionality of it all has, I think, got wildly out of control. And I'm not sure, certainly Samir Shah didn't want him to resign. And as far as I understand it, Mr. Gibb, the kind of alleged kind of man at the kind of chorus coup, probably didn't want him to go either. So this crisis is engulfing the BBC, and it has the disproportionality of it, I think, is what allows people like me. I mean, I'm a believer in public broadcasting.
But, Mr. Hutton, it's not just this, is it? If you look at the stories run by the Telegraph last week, we see an LGBTQ desk that decides not to do certain stories because they don't fit with the agenda. We see BBC Arabic's coverage of the Middle East. 522 times a contributor is used who called the Jews devils. They have to offer apologies roughly at the rate of 2 a week, and I've not even mentioned Glastonbury. It's not all down to President Trump, Mr. Hutton, is it? I'm uneasy about that question, Nick. I mean, I'm not. It's a big organisation. I'm not sure. But all the stories I track back, all track back to the news department.
Yeah, Will. I know.
I've not gone into Greg Wallace's baking or anything.
No, I mean, we've actually seen the Gaza documentary, which Channel 4 chose to run, public service broadcaster. I mean, I think the heart of this is: do you start with kind of it's so kind of broke, it's got to go and be dismantled, and or do you want to fix it? And I want to fix it.
How would you fix it? If it is to be fixed, how is it to be fixed, Will?
Well, first of all, I think that it remains, and although as kind of Turner said it yesterday, it remains the most trusted news organisation in the country. I mean, it's above any newspaper, and that it retains that. And when there are big moments in national life, we all turn to it. That remains the case. And then you have
lastly, for you and me, Will, yes, but for our children or our grandchildren, do you honestly see that level of trust? You and I, you maybe have got, 2 years older than me, I have no idea, but we grew up, absolutely around the BBC. I don't know. I don't know that now, Will. Come on, let's be honest with each other. Kids don't turn to it the same way.
I think if the BBC was to go down, it would be a phenomenal loss. It's not just news and current affairs. It's Traitors, it's Match of the Day, it's Strictly, it's the whole damn thing. And it would be a kind of cornerstone of our national life that actually does cornerstone it. And actually, in a sense, the kind of furore is because that's recognised. I mean, its enemies, and there are many, don't want it around because it is a cornerstone of our national life, and it does try to represent those values, those Reithian values of kind of trying to inform, educate, entertain.
Inform, educate, indeed. I must leave it there, Will. Thank you as ever, Will Hutton, columnist of The Observer. You served as the paper's editor as well. Just to make it plain, I do not want to see the BBC dismantled in full, but the size of reform and review, the like of which has never been seen before, would be my vote. Let's turn to Gordon Rayner. I mentioned he's the journalist who broke that story, associate editor of the Daily Telegraph, behind those scoops. OK, same first question to you. What should the BBC do now vis-à-vis President Trump's demands? Morning to you.
Yeah, morning, Nick. Well, of course he should apologise to President Trump. I do not understand why he's dithering. They've already said that they got this wrong. They've already apologised for the fact that they doctored that speech. Why is he saying that they're considering what to do regarding Trump's demands? They just need to apologise to the man. They've done him a terrible disservice. And I'm afraid it's indicative of the way that the BBC has responded to this entire crisis. It was the same last week when I first put that story story to them about Trump. They hoped that it would just go away if they said more or less nothing about it. They spent a week saying almost nothing. It's only when they're forced into a corner that they actually start, realising what they need to do. And let's not forget, Samir Shah knew about this Panorama documentary in January, and he did nothing about it then either. He is a man who is just dithering and delaying again.
What of these suggestions that there's some right-wing cabal that is trying to bring down the BBC? Are you going to now confess to being a member of that shady group, Gordon?
Well, I'm certainly not, and I don't believe such a thing exists, Nick. I'm sure you don't either.
I don't.
I think people confuse people who want the BBC to get back to doing what it's meant to do with people who think the BBC shouldn't exist. Like you were just saying there. I grew up with the BBC as well. I've got great affection for the BBC. I've always been very proud of what the BBC has represented, especially for Britain around the world. I'm currently in America. I was driving behind a car earlier today, which had a number plate which said "Doctor Who, my other car is the TARDIS." That was an American car, and I thought, isn't that great? That's the sort of way that Britain, it projects itself around the world, but I'm afraid it's losing its way.
Lastly, where does this story go next? Do we all eyes on the chairman and the decision by Friday? Would you suggest, Gordon?
In the immediate future, yes, but in the longer term, obviously they need to pick a new director general, or indeed change that role. A lot of people think that role is too big for one person, but if they stick with the DG role, they need someone who has got the spine to actually enforce the rules that Tim Davies said he was going to enforce when he got the job 5 years ago. He said all the right things, as you'll remember, Nick. He said he was going to, make impartiality the front and centre. He said that BBC people wouldn't be able to express their personal views on social media, but then he didn't enforce those rules. And until they can find someone who's prepared to, crack heads together, maybe sack people when they get out of line, rather than just sort of nodding along and doing nothing, then I'm afraid this is going to happen over and over again.
Enjoyed our conversation. Have a nice day, as they all say around you in the United States. Gordon Rayner, Associate Editor of the Daily Telegraph. He broke that story.